My wife Rachel thought she was playing me for a fool. She'd come home late, smelling of a cologne that wasn't mine, with stories of late-night meetings and demanding clients. I'd nod, maybe ask a few questions, and then retreat to my study. She saw my quietness as weakness, my acceptance as ignorance. But she had no idea what was really going on behind that closed door. I wasn't just sitting there, heartbroken. I was planning. Our story began like a fairy tale. We met in college, two ambitious kids with big dreams. I was studying architecture, and she was in marketing. We were inseparable. We built our lives together, brick by brick. I designed our dream home, and her career in a top marketing firm paid for it. We were the power couple everyone envied, at least that's what I thought. The first crack appeared about a year ago. It was subtle. Sudden need for privacy with her phone, which she used to leave lying around. The work dinners that stretched into the early morning hours. I tried to ignore the gnawing feeling in my gut. I loved her. I trusted her. Denial is a powerful anesthetic. But then the evidence became impossible to ignore. Credit card statement with a charge for a hotel I'd never heard of. Like a whispered phone call she thought I couldn't hear. The name was Mark. He was her new boss. A charismatic, ruthless executive who, according to Rachel, was a brilliant mentor. It seemed his mentorship extended well beyond the boardroom. The first time I confirmed it, the pain was physical. It felt like a punch to the stomach, knocking all the air out of my lungs. I followed her one night after she'd kissed me goodbye, promising to be home early. I watched her walk into a fancy restaurant and straight into the arms of another man. They laughed, they touched, they kissed. It was all so casual, so practiced. In that moment, the man I was, the trusting, loving husband, died. I drove home in a daze. My first instinct was to confront her, to scream, to break things. But as I sat in the darkness of our perfect home, a cold, calm clarity washed over me. A dramatic confrontation was what she'd expect. It would give her the power, allow her to play the victim or twist the narrative. No, I wasn't going to give her that satisfaction. I decided to play the long game. So, I became the perfect, oblivious husband. I'd ask about her day, listen to her fabricated stories about Mark, her demanding boss, and nod sympathetically. He sounds tough, I'd say. Shh. Make sure you're taking care of yourself. Inside, I was a coiled spring of fury, but on the surface, I was calm, supportive, and utterly clueless. She bought it completely. Her arrogance grew with each lie she told. She thought I was a fool, too wrapped up in my own world of blueprints and building codes to notice hers was crumbling. While she was busy with her affair, I was busy with my own project. I started gathering evidence. I installed a keylogger on her laptop. I retrieved deleted messages from her phone's cloud backup. I even hired a private investigator to document their little getaways. It was expensive, but it was an investment in my future, my freedom. The PI's folder grew thicker each week, filled with photos, dates, and times. It was a meticulous chronicle of her betrayal. At the same time, I began quietly separating our lives. I opened a new bank account. I started moving my personal funds, my inheritance from my grandparents, everything that was legally mine and mine alone, into it. I consulted with a lawyer, one of the best divorce attorneys in the city. Her name was Ms. Evans, a sharp, no-nonsense woman who looked at my folder of evidence and gave a slow, appreciative nod. "Mr. Collins," she said, "this is what we call an ironclad case. The plan was coming together. The final piece was our assets. The house, our investments, the company I had started a few years back. According to our prenuptial agreement, which Rachel had insisted on, thinking it protected her, any assets acquired during the marriage would be split. But there was a clause, a tiny infidelity clause I had insisted on that she had laughed off at the time. It stated that in the case of proven adultery, the faithful party would be entitled to a significantly larger share. She had forgotten all about it. I hadn't. My company was just starting to take off. We just landed a massive contract, a game changer that would triple the company's valuation overnight. The news was still confidential, not even public knowledge yet. I timed my next move perfectly. I scheduled the announcement for the day after our anniversary. Our 10th anniversary arrived. Rachel was in top form. She bought me an expensive watch and wrote a beautiful card about our unbreakable bond and a decade of love. The hypocrisy was staggering. played along, giving her a diamond necklace. She loved it, of course. We went to a fancy dinner, the same restaurant where I had first seen her with Mark. She didn't even realize. She held my hand across the table, looked me in the eyes, and told me she loved me. I almost felt sorry for her, almost. That night, she said she had to pull an all-nighter for a huge presentation. She kissed me, her lips still tasting of the wine we'd shared, and left. I knew exactly where she was going. The private investigator was already in position outside Mark's apartment. The next morning, I didn't go to work. Instead, I waited. Around 11 a.m., a courier arrived. He delivered a large package to Rachel. I signed for it, a small smile playing on my lips. It contained a single, beautifully bound book. The cover read, "The Story of Us, a Decade of Love and Lies." Inside was every piece of evidence I had collected. Printed text messages, transcripts of her calls, and glossy 8x10 photos of her and Mark. On the very last page was a copy of our prenup with the infidelity clause highlighted and a business prospectus showing my company's new valuation. Tucked into the front cover were the divorce papers already signed by me. I can only imagine the look on her face as she opened that package. The dawning horror, the realization that the fool she thought she had married was 10 steps ahead of her the entire time. Her world, built on a foundation of lies, would have shattered in that instant. My phone rang about 30 minutes later. It was her. I let it go to voicemail. She called again and again, a barrage of frantic, hysterical messages. Then came the texts, pleading, angry, confused. I read them, one by one, feeling nothing but a profound sense of release. Ms. Evans handled everything from there. The divorce was swift and brutal for Rachel. Evidence was undeniable. She lost the house, her claim to my now multi-million-dollar company, and a significant portion of what she thought were her assets. Mark, her brilliant mentor, dropped her the moment the scandal threatened his own career. Last I heard, she was forced to move into a small apartment and was struggling to find work. Her reputation was in tatters. Some might say what I did was cold, calculating, even cruel. But what she did was a slow, painful betrayal that lasted for over a year. She didn't just cheat. She disrespected our entire life together. I didn't want revenge. Not really. I wanted justice. I wanted to close that chapter of my life on my own terms, not as a victim, but as someone who took back control. I sold the house we built together. It held too many ghosts. Now, I live in a penthouse apartment overlooking the city, a city I'm helping to shape with my designs. I'm building a new life, one based on honesty and self-respect. I've learned a valuable lesson. Sometimes the quietest person in the room is the one with the loudest plan. She thought she was playing a game, but she never even knew the rules. I wasn't the fool. I was the game master. Thank you for listening to my story. If you've ever been in a similar situation, know that your strength is greater than your pain. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more stories. See you next time.